So for this video, I kind of wanted to showcase one of the decks I've been playing in Constructed, specifically because it's not one of the ones that has been very prevalent in the tournament meta. Now, this is going to be the first time I'm showing off like a deck in Constructed on my channel, so I am going to do like a quick walkthrough on the choices and talk about why I think that it's pretty decent. And I'm also going to throw out the caveat that I was playing this before the balance patch, so there might be one or two things that I'll be tweaking after the fact, but for the most part the core is going to remain the same. And I do think that this is at least reasonably viable. I'm not necessarily convinced that I would take this to a tournament, but I've had a lot of success with it. So we're going to go ahead and just look at the deck now. This is a green-black aggressive deck. It is very, very similar to the red-black aggressive deck that was popularized by Hoy and Sixo during the We Play tournament. And it has 3 black heroes, 2 green heroes. I'm currently choosing to start with Lycan, PA, Phantom Assassin, and Sorla Khan as my flop heroes. And that's strictly because the other heroes I think I want to protect a little bit more. So while I normally actually like Sorla Khan in this 4th slot, because then I can kind of pick where she goes and get much higher chances to hit the tower, Drow is just kind of brittle. A little bit less brittle now because we're after the patch, but you don't have to worry about axe as much, but still pretty brittle, right? So we're going to start with Drow here in the 4. The other reason you're starting with 2 black heroes here is you have a lot of things that are black that you want to play in the first couple of turns, whereas on green, it's really only Mist of Avernus. So unless you draw more than 1 Mist of Avernus, Lycan's pretty safe by himself. So these are your flops. Drow is here because still Gust, believe it or not, is not terrible. It's not as good against, say, mono blue, but against decks that might run 1 blue hero that tries to annihilate your aggressive board, being able to proactively gust them if you have initiative can potentially save your army, which is one of the reasons why I was attracted to a green-black variant as opposed to the red-black. So I like this. Drow also has the amazing passive that pumps your board, which is great in aggressive decks, and specifically some of the creeps that I've included, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then Tinker is our anchor. We're playing Tinker because March of the Machines is great, 7 attack is great, the activated ability Laser is great, and that's why he's in this 5th slot, because you want him to try to survive long enough to activate that laser. So, cards. I'm running 1 Relentless Pursuit just because I like mobility and I like getting people out of potentially dead lanes. I think as a 1-of, when you have 3 black heroes, it's entirely fine. And then a lot of this is just going to be pretty core aggressive stuff. Untested Grunts, because they're cheap and they attack. Assault Ladders come with Sorla. 1 Disciple, 3 Oaths. I actually think that the 1 Disciple is fine. I think Disciple is less of a liability than the Oath necessarily, but I still think that 1 here and 3 here is great. One of the reasons I like the Oath in this deck is it does actually still run a lot of improvements, so you can still have things to do in an Oath lane. Speaking of improvements, we run Mist, because again, this is an aggressive deck and it wants to snowball, and Mist is great with that. You get like Mist and an Oath, or Mist and an Assault Ladders in a lane, and you can really push down a tower quickly. Gank is just removal. You typically use this on your Phantom Assassin, but if you have to, you can use it on one of the other 2. And sometimes, just like Relentless Pursuit, suiciding with a gank means that you can redeploy your hero 2 turns later, but you can get him out of dead lanes. Vandal and Censor, because they're great aggressive options, and this one is more damage oriented and this one is disruption, but both are very, very important in an aggressive deck. And then something that might kind of catch you off guard. So I'm running 2 Cheating Deaths. It was much better against Annihilation and things in the old version of the deck, aka pre-patch version. However, I am still running it because this is very much a snowball card, meaning if you get this played early and your opponent doesn't have an answer, you can protect either key heroes or key creeps by proactively using it. And it's not the Hail Mary, hey, save my squad that it used to be, but I do think that it's at least worth testing. So I am running it right now. This may end up falling out if I don't like it, potentially just for more bodies, but for now, it's in. It's also pretty interesting because if you do have a lane where you have like the Oath and then you have a green hero and a black hero, you can use Cheating Death to potentially save your black hero, preserving the oath damage, because sometimes one of the tricks that an opponent will try to take advantage of is killing your black hero in a lane with the oath to kind of neutralize your presence. So Cheating Death, again, I'm not 100% sold, but I don't think it's as bad or as dead as some people think. I think it just has to be used differently, so we're going to test it. Satyr Duelist is here because it's a snowball creep, can produce big damage. Normally the 3 attack is a bit of a liability because it means you have to wait 2 turns to trade with a melee creep. However, because we're running Drow, this is often coming down as a 4/5. It'll kill that melee creep in front of it and then jump to a pretty significant threat. Wolves come with Lycan, March comes with Tinker, and Coup de Grace comes with Phantom Assassin. So the only other thing worth mentioning here is this was my item selection. Phase Boots, because it's great with Lycan and Sorla, can also help protect some of your key creeps that may have snowballed out of control or just help you push damage. So I was running 3 Phase Boots, Signets because they're cheap, and then Blink Daggers for mobility. Now that we're in a post-patch world, I will likely include 1 or 2 Jasper Daggers because that card got an amazing buff. I don't know where I'm going to fit them in, probably at the expense of at least 1 Phase Boots. After that, it's questionable. You would think it would just be one Phase Boots down, 1 Signet Ring down, but I'm not convinced that 3 Blink Daggers is required, specifically because between Gank and Relentless Pursuit, there are a lot of ways to kind of provide mobility to these black heroes that do not require Blink Dagger, so I actually might chop both of these down by 1 to put the daggers in, but undecided. I guess watch for future videos. We'll see. But for now, this is what we're going to run, and now I'm going to go ahead and jump into a game and hopefully show you guys how this performs. Alright, here we go. So we are running into Salamene Storm. So this ought to be interesting, to say the least. And let's just double check, and yep, just like I thought, there are no places where we're going to want to turn 1 oath this. So sadly, this is going to be a pretty uneventful first round and a less than ideal first round for us because we're not generating any pressure in really any lane, and our poor Sorla Khan was not in a position to do much for us either. So we don't, I think, want to fight for the Canna lane. So we're just going to go ahead and do this. Interesting, they decided to put the Drow in the last one.
Your mad quest for glory ends here.
Alright, so they're going to ramp up there. Not really a surprise. We're going to go ahead and slow them down a bit here since we can't protect our Sorla. Try to push what damage we can. It's really important we control this for a couple of reasons. 1, we need to take towers, but 2, if they do end up pushing this as their combo lane and try to push this for 80, we are likely going to have to do the same in this lane.
Strike swift,
so we are very much looking to have control of that as much as we can. We also desperately need to find a gank, because while we can rely on Coup, Coup doesn't prevent at any cost as much as we would like it to, right? Like, it has the potential to stop Annihilation, but you're really looking for generating a lot of pressure and then killing whatever the blue heroes are that are over there
Lycan, with you
to take
by my
advantage of
side,
that.
There's no enemy I can't fell.
Alright, so Revtel and Blink are both pretty solid, and our Tinker is definitely going here because we want to be able to play black. And then again, we're desperately hoping for maybe a gank. Oh, wow, they're just abandoning this lane. That is That is ballsy, sir. Unless they're waiting to come down with Zeus or something else later. Maybe they're just gonna Thunder Gods. It's a very interesting choice to have ignored this entirely. We do want to try to keep this above Thunder God's like Wrath health issues, so we're actually going to preemptively Revtel this.
Now how
Because
does
it's going to
this
take
work?
3. And then we're going to go ahead and Vandal so that we can push this.
The red mist is here.
We would desperately like to secure that. And then we're likely just going to play March from here. Yeah, see, there's the Thunder Gods. That's exactly what we were worried about. And that means we're also not playing Thunder Gods. It actually means we're not really playing anything because our Lycan died here as well. And that's why we protect the Tinker. So I fully expect both Treant and Zeus to come down in that first lane. Now we'll have the coup as an answer. And we won't. Oof. We were desperately were hoping they did not have an initiative card there. I don't think we need TP. So now we have the decision of, like, if we deploy Sorla over there and they annihilate, then we just lose. So we could play Sorla over in the right lane to continue trying to push that. But the downside of doing that is if they annihilate that first lane anyway, and then we try to like blink Sorla over, they'll still always have initiative and can continue to cause problems there. I don't think Sorla going over there helps us win though, because if they don't have Annihilation, we have probably enough presence to make that work anyway. And if they do have Annihilation and everything about what they just did signals that they do, then we just lose that lane anyway. Excuse me, at any cost. I forgot they can't annihilate because of my sensor, but either way, you knew the board clear was coming. That's the important part. Actually, that healing salve is also really impactful. We could have cross-played March of the Machines and then tried to redeploy people here the following turn and continued to push. And this healing salve essentially took that away from us. Not finding ganks is a problem right now. Oh, and they can just bail out with the Blank Dagger. But yeah, not finding ganks is a real problem right now. So it's basically impossible for us to just not lose this turn. At a minimum, they're dropping an emissary, so the clock begins.
Allow the quorum to be of assistance.
So now we have the problem of desperately needing to push here. So we kind of have to take this coup. The problem is that it does not do a lot for us. They can still play green creeps to slow us down.
Just what I was looking for.
Kind of curious to see what happens now. There is the druid as expected to slow us down. A little weirded out that they didn't jump in front of the duelist though. I'm not gonna lie. Find that interesting. We do like the phase boots because of our Sorla. They'll have this Zeus for blinking. So what we because we have our own blink dagger, what we actually want to do is do this. And take this coup.
No god, Zeus.
So now they should have no presence in the last lane.
The sisters trained me well.
And so as long as they can't AD me in the middle, we'll be fine. In fact, actually what I just did was probably a misplay. Yeah, it was 100% a misplay, actually. I needed my Phantom Assassin to come there and soak more damage. I mean, coming here just ensures that I win, so now they have to push the full 80, but... This tap is 18. A second tap would be another potentially like 5 or 7. There is a legitimate chance that they could just 80 me here. And having jumped here with the blink dagger might have prevented it.
A gift from the quorum.
Does not look like they have it though, because they they could Stars Align into Sanctum. And then play another Emissary.
How many of you do I have to kill?
Alright, so they go with Ignite. And that should be it. That should be it. So... Wow, alright. So the key to that one was taking out that Zeus in the first lane, recognizing they couldn't play a blue hero over there, but they did have the blink dagger, so trying to take that out was important. Again, was a misplay from me by not going to the second lane with my Phantom Assassin to soak more damage. That was definitely a misplay, but I'll own up to it. You'll notice I'm just now leveling up. This is like the kind of the first stuff I've done since the patch. As I said before, I was playing this deck before the patch. This was in the middle of a run that I had done. I'm now up to 3 wins and 1 loss with this deck, and the 1 loss was to Salamene Storm, and it was one that was entirely winnable if I would have drawn 1 coup, 1 gank, or 1 gust at any point in the game, but I drew none of them and could not interrupt my opponent. So it was a bit of a bummer when I did lose this one, but yeah, I think this deck is at least effective enough that if you have the cards, you could play it and feel confident or comfortable. I think that it has the tools to be competitive. I don't know if it's better than the red-black version or not. Probably not, because I think that one pushes damage a lot better because of the red creeps. Standard Bearer, the Stone Halls, they're really, really good. But yeah, anyway, green-black aggro. I'll be trying to weave in more deck-oriented videos like this. I want to showcase more draft. I want to showcase more constructed, but I do also plan on finishing the card review series that I had done, right? So you'll be seeing those in the near future as well. I do also plan on doing more just like helpful tips and things to consider for new players. I got a big long list of stuff that I'm planning on making. So anyway, if you made it this far, then thanks. I really appreciate it, and I hope to catch you in the next video.